Hey now, Brawlers, it's time for another Board Game Brawl review with Nick Minahan, sponsored by BoardGameBliss.com.
Hey peoples, it is time for another Lost Reviews segment. This is a semi-frequent video series where I talk about games that I didn't do a full review for a multitude of reasons. Maybe not a multitude, maybe 3 or 4. But sometimes it's because it's a game that I actually like, but I either didn't keep it for whatever reason, or I did keep it, and it's maybe I just don't feel like doing a review for it, or the moment's passed, things like that. Excuse me. Maybe it's a game that I really didn't like, got rid of immediately because someone in my group wanted it, or someone on Patreon wanted it, and that's that. But I still want to talk about it a little bit, or it deserves to be talked about. And sometimes it's just a game that is too small or insignificant to be worthy of a full review, because I'm not going to say all that much, and there's nothing much to show in the preview section of it. So I think I have one of all 3 of those categories on tap for today. So let's get to it. We'll start with a game that is definitely worthy of a full review. I just didn't get to it. That is Vast, the Crystal Caverns from Letter Games. Now, this is a game that if you've been studiously watching my channel, and why would you really, you'll know that I already like it, because it was on my top 10 of 2016 list. It made it into my top 100 of, not all time, but top 100 of right here and now list. So I really like this game. I can't stress that enough. So why didn't I do a full review of it? For a couple of reasons. Number one, it's a complicated game. Now, in some ways, that's good. I mean, the thing is, this is a great game that has so many heady elements to it, and a lot of it I wouldn't want to change, but unfortunately, it just was like, of all the things I wanted to do and all the very little time I have left to do things on the channel, it just was a daunting task, and it just slipped further and further down, and I felt really bad about it because it was sent to me for the purposes of review, but hopefully making it onto my 2 very prestigious lists made up for that, especially now since I'm looking at it a 3rd time on this video. There's also the fact that there were some rules problems that I had with the game, and hey, look, those deserve to be talked about and addressed, and they shouldn't be shied away from talking about them, but at the same time that I was just about to do the review, I was thinking I was going to do it, they did another Kickstarter for an upgraded edition of the game that not only upgraded some of the components, like adding miniatures and things, which is great, they also had an upgraded version of the rulebook. So now I'm like, okay, I've been down this path before. I think it was maybe the first Rum and Bones, where I reviewed it at the same time that a Kickstarter was about to come out, or was already out, for the second wave, which retroactively added new rules and changed some rules. And people were like, you didn't like the game? But what about these new rules? I didn't want to go there. Even though I liked this game, I was going to shit all over a couple of the rules. I didn't want that hassle. So it's better if I don't do a full review. But listen, I'll keep this brief because I've already talked about this game a lot. It's a fantastic game. It looks great. I love the artwork. I love the theme. It's a true asymmetrical game. I hate how the term asymmetrical is misused now, where people are like, well, I have different powers than you, so this is an asymmetrical game. No. This is a game where every player is doing something different, acting in different ways, different types of actions, and different goals, but you're all centered in the same theme in the same universe. One player is a brave knight going down into the dungeon to kill the dragon. One player is a dragon trying to escape and wreak havoc. One player takes control of tribes of goblins trying to kill that knight before he can kill the dragon, before she can kill the dragon. One player is the cave itself, trying to crush all the other players. And if you get to that many players, one player is this evil, deathless rogue trying to steal crystals and things. Fascinating. It's a fascinating game. It's very difficult to get into and learn for the first time, but I feel it's very rewarding, well worth it. The Kickstarter is going to add more roles into the game, and I'm very excited for that. So, I highly recommend it. I know that another printing of the game is, I think, shipping to the backers of the new project soon, and you'll probably be able to buy a retail copy of it within a couple of months, if not already. So, check it out when you can. You're probably wondering which of the other 2 games falls into the category of do not like. Sadly, it's this one, Doom the board game, the 2016 version of the board game, which coincided, for the most part, a few months late, with the 2016 re-release of a new edition of the Doom video game, which it is based on from Bethesda. This one is from Fantasy Flight, the board game version of it. But There's also a Doom board game from several years ago, probably 2006 to 2008, something like that, maybe even earlier than that, that even had an expansion and was based more on the previous versions of... Actually, I think it was... I saw some artwork from the box that was very reminiscent of Doom 3 video game. So look, I like Doom, the video game, and I actually have not played the 2016 version of the Doom video game. I really want to. FPSs are not typically my thing, and I'm sure I'll be terrible at it, but I watched a couple of reviews that made it look so fucking cool that I'm probably going to play it at some point. So I'm on board with a board game version, which before I started getting back into video games, I'm back into video games, by the way, I thought the only way I was going to be able to experience it at all was in the board game form, so I eagerly purchased this game myself, because I don't get review copies of Fantasy Flight, and was on board with playing it. I was like, alright, I'm excited, let's try this out, and I didn't like it at all. There's a few reasons for this. Number one, I had a massive disconnect with the theme, which other people don't seem to be having. This is a very well-loved game, even though not a ton of people seem to have played it that much, or talk about it. But the whole thing with Doom, the video game, was that it's a run-and-gun, very simple story. Forget all the bullshit books and stuff. No one cares about those. Very few people care about those. The story was very simple. You're a kick-ass Marine, and you're shooting the shit out of demons, right? That's what the story is. That's all it is. And the game play of the Doom video games mirrors that, and that you're just running around and shooting things. It's fast, in your face. Play Brutal Doom, like the advanced modded version of the original, like of Doom 2, I think. That's just like, I mean, just you don't even have time to think and stop. The Doom 2016 board game, and I never played the original board game, by the way, so I'm not even going to comment on that. The Doom 2016 board game is slow and plodding and methodical, and one player is the demons. Why? Now, from a gameplay standpoint, it's interesting. From a thematic standpoint for Doom, it's stupid. I don't want to play as demons. I want to play as a kick-ass Marine, but somebody's got to play as the fucking demons. And the Invader. And, there is a game called Zombicide, which is fallen out of my esteem quite a bit in the last few years. But that game got the theme of just running around and shooting monsters pretty well. Doesn't need to be that complicated. You move a couple spaces, you shoot your guns, you get better guns, you get more powerful, you find some health sometimes, and you just mow through as many monsters as you possibly can. They could have done that, actually fix some of the problems with Zombicide, that it was a little bit too simplistic, but still keep the game fast, you're moving, you're going from tile to tile, running through caverns, fully cooperative. I don't even think there's a solo mode in this game unless someone online made one. I might be wrong on that. Instead, it's, alright, I'm the Invader, and I get to choose my demon armies, and I place this mini down, and I'm going to play my shotgun card. I couldn't wait to be done with this. And it was a plodding, miserable experience, and I was happy to be rid of it. If you enjoy it, more power to you. I just wish it wasn't Doom. Now, here's a weird one, because this is a sequel to a game that I love. It's on my top 100 list and has been for a couple of years at least. And it's just more stuff for it. And so I don't want to really shit-talk it too much, but I am a little bit. This is Spyfall 2. Now, the thing about Spyfall 2 is it's basically just Spyfall 1. There's just different locations, and I wasn't going to remember all of them, so I've got the little book here. Again, this is another annoying thing. By the way, if you don't know what Spyfall is, fun party game. Doesn't make any sense thematically. One player is a spy who has somehow lost their memory and doesn't know where the hell they are behind enemy lines. The other players are trying to suss out the spy. You don't know where you are, but you have to ask questions to each other. The spy wants to find out where they are by asking questions, but not revealing that he is the one who doesn't know where they are. The other players need to ask each other questions to find out who the good guys are and who the spy is without revealing too much information to the spy. Boom. There you're done. That's all you need to know. But the whole thing, one of the annoying things about the original Spyfall is that there was only one sheet of all the locations for people to look at. Still only one sheet in the book. That's annoying to me. Things like that make it harder and harder for me to justify to the people in my group who want to play just the mobile version of this game instead of the mobile or web-based browser version of this game instead of the card-based. I'm like, no, it's worth it. but you have to bag all the sets of cards. You only have one of these unless you go and run off another one. And actually, the whole point of Spyfall 2 for me and for people who already own the original is, well, more locations. And so you have locations like the Harbor Docks, the Candy Factory, the Coal Mine, the Rock Concert, the Subway, I'm looking for the interesting one, Cemetery, Jazz Club, Jail, the Cat Show, the Vineyard, the Library, Retirement Home. Lots of good locations here for making up some creative questions. So you'd want to add these to the original, but now you really need to make up a new sheet, and it becomes... you really can't do that. You can't just mix them all together. You have to, like, pick and choose and come up with close to the same number of them that's in either set, because otherwise it's going to be too hard for people to keep up with what's in play and, you know, eliminate variables and options. So that makes a sequel to Spyfall kind of a tough sell in and of itself. Now, to make up for that, they did add a couple of new things to the game. You can play with more players. There's enough cards here to play with more players, and you can have a second spy. I cannot express how much both of those are awful ideas, and they may as well not even be in the game. Now, I appreciate that the new spy cards are female cards, which is great, so I'm actually keeping them around just because I'll let people decide which gender they want to play as. But, number one, more players, bad. More players for Spyfall is always a bad idea. The magic number for this game is between 4 and 6 at the most. Having I think this goes up to like 9 now. Dumb, real dumb. Maybe it's even more. That's just doesn't matter. It's terrible idea. Having a second spy, even worse, because it just adds it amps the difficulty up so much for the good guys that why are you even bothering with this? If you just want chaos, if that's all you want is chaos, okay. But the other annoying thing, too, is that usually I play this game with new people. It's a good game for new people, but if I have to explain to 2 different spies, it increases the possibility of the spies screwing up the first few games if it happens to fall to new people. So I highly don't recommend that. This is one of those games that has a very precise window in which it's very, very fun. And the further you stray from that window, the fun collapses in on itself. So, this is a tough sell for me. I would think, and by the way, the reason I didn't do full reviews is because this is all there is to the game. I would think that if you just want variety, and if you're okay with doing some manual work of flipping out decks and making like some sort of spreadsheet so people can know what to expect instead of thinking of like what, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20 new locations plus the 20 from the original plus whatever promo decks you have. If you're okay with that, then that would be the reason to get this set, is to have more variety. And I can see that, and that's why I'm keeping my set. But for other people, I mean, the new mechanisms are not worth it. And, again, it's getting harder and harder to justify not just playing the web-based version of this. Anyways, that's Lost Reviews. Like I said, we'll do this infrequently whenever I think it's justified for games I couldn't quite get to a full review for. Thanks for sticking around. Take care.
Thanks for watching. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Patreon. And make sure to check out our sponsor, Board Game Bliss, where you can find an amazing selection of games from around the world. BoardGameBliss.com. Thanks for your